So, morning. March 3rd is World Wildlife Day, and this date was chosen as CITES, the Convention of International Trade in Endangered Species of Wild Fauna and Flora, which was founded in 1973. And so this United Nations International Day, it gives us an opportunity to celebrate all of the world's wild animals and plants. It also gives us an opportunity to have conversations on how we, the Homo sapiens, must act to preserve wildlife that is so important to health of our planet. So my name is Sangeeta Venkatesh, and I'm lead corporate communication of Ecoparadigm. The theme for this year's World Wildlife Day is partnerships for wildlife conservation. And this is indeed important, as lasting conservation is achieved through collaboration with a range of partners, including governments, local communities, businesses, and individuals. And at Ecoparadigm, our focus has been on conservation of water through rainwater harvesting, treating wastewater, solid waste management, and all our initiatives have directly impacted biodiversity very positively. We will talk about that later, but first let me welcome our guest today of our Expert Talk series, our first in 2023, and our mantra is learning never ends. So to all who are attending today, a big thank you, and I welcome you all. So if you want to listen to the previous talks in this series of the Expert Talk series, that is, please check Ecoparadigm's YouTube channel. And while you're at it, please also subscribe to the channel. Our guest speaker today is Dr. Sarita Subramaniam, the founder of the NGO Earth Brigade Foundation. Earth Brigade Foundation arranges for the welfare of street animals such as medical care, sterilization, and vaccination. It also works to provide direct benefits to wildlife in India's forests by providing solar-powered drinking water projects as well as measures to minimize man-animal conflict. Her foundation has moved petitions through high courts and even the Supreme Court of India to bring relief to wild tigers from persecution. She's currently engaged in fighting for keeping the green oasis of RA in Mumbai free of human depredation. So Sarita has trained herself to become a first-class field birdwatcher too, and is also a champion of animal rights. She is now a recognized wildlife rights activist and has been in the forefront of the campaign of saving wild tigers such as Ustad of Ranthambore, Rajasthan, and preventing the hunting of tigress T1 Avni of Yavatmal, Maharashtra. But surprise, surprise, Dr. Sarita is also a dental surgeon by profession and is based in Mumbai. Other than being a dentist to humans, she has often extended her dental skills to treat dogs and cats in dental distress with the support of veterinarians. And also in this journey with her is her spouse, the other Dr. Subramaniam, or Subbu as he is known. And in her words, her spouse, she says, Sarita says she has been fortunate to find another crazy animal lover who nurtures and encourages her love affair with all creatures, great and small, wild and stray. So if not in a national park, she divides her time between her Mumbai clinic and her organic farm in Karjat in the outskirts of Mumbai, along with her 4 dogs, a cow, and a husband, as she says. So it's my privilege to welcome Dr. Sarita Subramaniam to our Expert Talk series. Welcome, Sarita.
Thanks so much, Sangeeta, for the awesome introduction. And it's indeed an honor to be part of the Ecoparadigm talks. Really, I'm excited to be here. So let's get started.
Yes. So let's absolutely dive immediately to the topic of today, that is water,
Yeah.
waste, and wildlife.
Yeah.
So before we actually talk about that, I want you to tell the listeners, audience, how did your journey with wildlife begin? And was there a trigger that got you started on this path?
Actually, before 1993, for sure, that's when I got married. I had never visited a single wildlife sanctuary. It's in the late 90s that my husband, instead of going to Goa, decided to take me to the forest. And I was wondering, why can't I just be by the beach, enjoy great food and just shoot the breeze around? Instead, we went to Bandhavgarh, and I saw the tiger for the first time in my life, beyond captivity. Of course, I must have been to the zoo. I don't recollect much about it. For me, in the wild, what I saw completely changed me, because more than the tiger itself, at that time, it was the sheer beauty of nature which swept me off my feet. And after that one visit to Kana and Bandhavgarh, we started going regularly to the forest every year. We were young and in our practice early days, so we couldn't afford too many holidays. So the one annual holiday, we would try and be in the forest. But soon we decided that that's not enough. We need much more. So we cut down on our practice and actually started traveling. But what helped me actually was the birding experiences. I started bird watching, and that was what actually helped me travel the length and breadth of the country. So I remember in one year, I went from Ladakh to all the way to Greater Nicobar and everything in between, to just see birds. In fact, even last month and this month, we have traveled exclusively to see certain endemic species. And I feel more than my wildlife, it's my birding related. It must be the same, but my birding related activities, more than the jungle safaris itself, which opened my mind to not just the problems that the people around the forested areas faced. Some of our poorest of poor in the nation actually live in these areas. But I also started realizing that I now don't subscribe to the old archaic theories of pleasing human beings and then achieving the results of conservation for wildlife. I wanted to give direct benefits to wildlife. And as a commoner, I'm not an IFS, or I'm not a biologist. So I had very little access to the forest beyond wildlife, beyond my wildlife safaris. So I decided then, probably in 2017, our NGO started very late. But my husband and I, because we used to travel, we started donating solar lamps for the people. And there again, it was to help women empower themselves, because many of the conflict situation with big cats or even elephants were with women who tend to squat. And the big cats generally consider them their prey, and there's a mistaken identity, and the women were sort of killed. Also, they were the ones going into the forest to collect firewood. So I felt that by providing the solar lamps, I would ensure that they are safe, they would cook, and their dependence on kerosene was less. That's what also triggered me to start the solar pump sets, because I realized our dependence on the fossil fuel tankers for providing water was very high. So I wanted to use a more sustainable, resourceful way of providing and consistent way of providing water to the wildlife beyond the human dependence, where unless and until the tanker came, filled water in small water holes, it was not achieving enough. So that's where the solar pump sets helped. Okay. What triggered that particular thing, I would say, would be a visit to Kana, where I saw a tigress, young tigress. I'm happy now that she's a mother of her own and she's raising a cub. But when she was a cub, was drinking from a small puddle in peak summer. And that's when I realized, the tiger being the apex species, if it is struggling to get water, what happens to the other species? And that's why I embarked upon providing solar pump sets. And while it might not be a great number, Sangeeta, I must tell you, we've done so far 73 different solar installations inside the forest. That's in Rajasthan, Madhya Pradesh, Maharashtra, Karnataka, Tamil Nadu. And I'm hoping we will do one in Uttarakhand. We will do some in Uttarakhand soon.
So is this the same project that you call as Project Aquarius?
Aquarius, yeah, that's our Project Aquarius. Now, along with that, of course, we have our Pink Brigade initiatives where we provide the sanitary napkins to the underprivileged women around the forested areas. We realize menstrual hygiene is often neglected, as in most poor communities. And the budget of the local families, be it in Kana, a tribal in Kana, or are close to our Mumbai, where the RA forests are, the women there sort of discriminate amongst themselves. And the ones who are staying at home, they will use only cloth. The young girls traveling to college, school, to work, they get the sanitary napkins. So there is a lot of bias in that. And we try to give the compostable ones so that the fragile landscape around these forested areas are not damaged. And thereby we minimize waste.
Exactly. So you're really minimizing waste as well as giving the women the dignity as well as, the hygiene aspect of, their lives. So all this, the work that you do comes under the umbrella of Earth Brigade Foundation,
Yes,
correct?
Yes, absolutely.
So, how did that happen?
The NGO itself was formed only in 2017 because a year earlier, when I wanted to do the solar pump set, after I saw this tigress, I came back and I told a few of my family and friends that I would like to provide a solar installation pump set. And that was around 4 to 5 lakhs. Before that, Subbu and I would do our own little bit, but I felt that 4 to 5 lakhs of our own earnings was depleting it a bit. And then I realized my friends and family are more than willing to trust me to, install one. And without having an NGO, I had managed to, let's say, at least be promised of that sum. I couldn't collect it into our NGO, into my personal account, because I would be paying 33% tax, and then it would be less for my project. That's when I started the NGO, because that gave me a medium to collect the funds. And I realized I do have, thankfully, I'm blessed with the trust and faith of my friends and family. So that's how.
So I think photography has played a major role in this journey. You want to tell the viewers how?
Yeah, that. So I use only binoculars, but my better half, that is Subbu, because I'm the better half. So Subbu is the photographer, and like all other photographers, he just had hard disks after hard disks of photographs, images, which we travel so much, he had collected a lot. But what I managed to do, despite people telling me not to, is we managed to hold an exhibition in Jahangir Art Gallery of wildlife images. This had not only my husband's images, but 75 other wildlife photographers gave their images free of cost. And we printed on canvas and displayed it in Jahangir Art Gallery. I was told that wildlife images don't collect money. I mean, don't help us raise funds. But I don't know, maybe we were just lucky. We managed to raise around 12, 13 lakhs from that. And that's how we managed to do quite a few installations in Bandipur and Pench National Park. So I feel those photographers who aim only for getting awards or likes on social media, I think they could try and do something more with their images, because otherwise it's of no use. You can use photography for conservation directly, by raising funds. If anybody else can do it, it would be awesome.
Okay, sure. I think with this video, I think we are putting it out there. Yeah. So yes. So I am an avid traveler too.
Yeah.
And so when I read things like, Condé Nast Traveler, there's articles which says that tourism is one of the fastest growing sectors in the country, and it generates waste.
Yes.
Okay, because I'm a conscious traveler,
Yeah.
try to minimize the carbon footprint, at least by way of waste and using plastic bottles and all that. So, but then according to a research paper on Corbett, it said that the local tourism providers have been engaged in self-regulated destination development, which has led to unplanned urban sprawl, and also land and property encroachment. And so this has become, it's concomitant with the waste generation and improper disposal. So I haven't been to Corbett. I recently went to Pinch though in November, and I found it pretty. I found the tour operators did it quite well, but I was just there for a day, so probably I don't see the entire scene. So since you have traveled so much in the national parks, what have been your observations regarding waste management and the problem of littering vis-a-vis tourists as well as the local population?
See, I have a very skeptical view here because I think inherently we Indians, I'll be, I'll face a lot of flack for this, but I think inherently we are litter bugs. It just, we don't, on an average, we lack civic sense, basic civic sense. We might keep our house clean, but all the garbage goes out of the window, literally and figuratively. So to begin with, we need to tell that to each and every citizen how to keep their environmental, at least their immediate environment clean and things like that. So when we carry this same lack of awareness into the forest, where there is no regulatory mechanism as such beyond what the forest department tells you or the guides tell you. Now, we as a nation, we keep relying on tobacco pouches or gutka pouches or masala pouches. Most people just use it and just throw it away. And in the forest, what happens is when the herbivores like deers and all have it, it tends to choke their digestive system. It's the same with the cows who eat garbage outside. Where do most of the cows you find on the roads? They eat garbage. So waste management is huge because inherently it has to be first told to the population about how to manage the waste at their level before it goes into the society and for the authorities to take charge. In the forest itself, I can tell you few parts where I was shocked. Eravikulam was one of the first in Munnar, Kerala, was one of the first plastic free national parks or a wildlife habitat. But to have that in Kerala, it's expected. To translate it elsewhere was difficult, but I know for a fact that in Corbett, at least in Corbett, Dikala at least, they would earlier have waste paper bags. They had segregated waste also. Then I think a field director said, no garbage here. You bring your garbage, you take it back. Don't leave it here, because then it becomes our responsibility to ensure that all this garbage is out. So they give a handbag or so to collect the garbage, and we are expected to take it back. That is not strictly implemented. Now my information is 3 years old because I've not been to Corbett in 3 years. So maybe this month this month when I go, I'll have a better idea if the things are followed. In the bigger parks, yes, I suppose there is a lot of awareness because the guides themselves will tell the tourists not to litter. There are boards everywhere. But all along Corbett, because like you rightly pointed out, there is indiscriminate development. With resorts and all these small shanties, all which have come up, or they all generate waste. And last month, if I remember right, I think I had asked you also about it. We were in Walong, which is in Arunachal Pradesh. And one of the army officers was telling me that there is no waste management taking place there. It's one of the most beautiful places on Mother Earth, and it's in India, close to the China border. They are now starting campaigns for preventing open defecation, but waste management is a huge issue. Now, why is it important for me waste management vis-a-vis forested areas or pristine wildlife habitats? The reason is when there is garbage, the stray animals, especially dogs, their numbers go up because they feed on the garbage. And if there is no sterilization, ABC, that is animal birth control sterilization procedures or projects going on, their numbers just go up. So the waste, people actually need to be told how to tackle their own waste at their level. So while they wanted us to try and help them, authorities need to put in more effort, taking the support of the locals to help in waste management. Otherwise, all our pristine areas they are going to not remain so pristine anymore.
So on that note, I think I'm going to bring in Ecoparadigm's role, because we are all experts in it. And actually, I would say that we all do consulting. And I think we are there for all the national parks to, avail of our services, because we have actually put it, in so many places across the country. So why leave national parks? And they are such a important ecosystem. It's going to also have a kind of a ripple effect through the other parts of the society. And I think national parks really need to look at experts, if not ask somebody else, to at least handhold. And till it becomes the self-regulated kind of a process. So I think if people are listening into it, I think this is one way to go about it, employ consultants to kind of make our beautiful national parks. I think we're so lucky to have so many of them in our country.
See, the bigger parks where tourists visit, okay, there may be at least the bigger ones will have some sort of self-regulation over the years. It's not happened overnight, over the years. But the smaller parks where the tourist footfall is there, but not in such large numbers, they will definitely need a bit of hand-holding, I'm sure, So I can try and reach out to some field directors or chief wildlife wardens and ask whether they would like to, collaborate, and we can work something. I would definitely be interested.
So, because there was something else that I read, was that the animal species, because of the food waste that is close to national parks, they are focusing their attention on the anthropological food waste.
Yes.
So which is not supposed to be good for them. They are supposed to hunt, forage, get their own, right? So, it can lead to quite a ecological shift, the outcome of which God only knows. Only time will tell, I guess.
See, when we do bird watching, most of our many, not most, let's say, I wouldn't say many, many of our rarities we have found on garbage mounds. In fact, we were in Rongtong at the foothills of Darjeeling just few days earlier, and one of the rare birds to visit India, the Siberian blue robin, we found it on a garbage mound next to a villager's house. It's really heartbreaking to see elephants or sambars, foraging in garbage. And I've seen that, and it's really heartbreaking because it just adds to conflict. That is why they come closer to inhabited areas. They come closer to settlements because they now find an easy source of food. So that is not. We need to first. I will again say, more than putting the responsibility on somebody else or higher authorities, at our own basic level, we need to have a paradigm shift in our thinking as to how we are going to take care of the waste we generate. At our own level, what do we do actually at our own level? That then we can translate it to a community level. And of course, for the authorities to act upon.
So the so-called man-animal conflict is actually, spearheaded by man alone.
Yes, I definitely believe that, because I do not even believe in the myth, I would say, of man eaters. I feel it is something that has a phrase which has been coined by British colonists when they wanted to destroy our forests and start plantations. So you will realize that the conflict usually occurs when we humans go out into their territory and then claim it as our own. So when the wild animal visits their own territory, we pretend it's our own, and how dare they come to that place. It's true even today. Whatever the British started, we are just following the same. Most of our conflict, I have realized, happens with this is again my observation, and I now I can see most people coming around to it, that many of the conflict happens with migrant laborers. Migrant laborers who don't have the sense or ethos of the local fauna and flora, and whatever the signs that they need to read into, which the indigenous population, let's say, has. And the migrant labor force is quite powerful, because the rich landlords and plantation owners do not want their laborers to leave. If there is a conflict situation, they rather get the animal out of the way. And so the animal is usually declared a man-eater or a rogue elephant, so to speak. Unfortunately, it is man who has created the conflict. Very rarely do the animals come out really out of their territory. They do. Again, if that is happening, I feel that is again a man-made creation, because we have depleted their natural prey. Okay, we hunt and eat all the herbivores. There's nothing really left for them. Our cattle and livestock go to graze inside the forest. And then when the tiger or leopard kills them, we say that, the tiger is a man-eater, or the leopard is a man-eater. Or if, let's say, it kills humans, rather, we humans have encroached into the forest, right? So if somebody comes into my house, threatens me, or rather I feel threatened, whether he or she threatens me or not, I think I'm fully, within my rights to protect myself.
Absolutely.
So that's what animals are doing. Unfortunately, our ingress into the forested areas now are becoming quite a bit. So if you find a farmland inside the forest, we quickly say, oh, poor farmer, without realizing, what's that farmland supposed to be inside the forest? And thereby, should the farmer have been inside the forest? Because wherever humans are, we generate waste. We sort of accumulate and pile up on that waste. 2-3 times, if I throw garbage out of my house, you'll find the neighborhood all throwing garbage there. So conflict, yes, most of the time I think is initiated by humans, or we are in some way responsible for it.
So I just want to shift now to water again, though you have given an introduction to Project Aquarius. So why is there a shortage of water in our national parks? Is it, natural during the summer months, that aquifers or whatever puddles dry up? Has it always been the case, or is it a fallout of climate change? Is it something recent, or has it always been like that for, millennia or the hundreds of years?
That's a wonderful question, Sangeeta. Most of the time, I used to even struggle to comprehend myself till I started realizing how it is here in our farm. When we bought our farm 17, 18 years back, we probably were the only ones to have a borewell in and around our village. The other villagers seem to have their own supply of water from the neighboring canals or whatever source they had. But now we realize that so many of us are in these rural areas, that many more people are doing the borewell. Just in Karjat, I'm talking about. So imagine in the forest, while it is true that there are many, contrary to popular perception, there are many parts of our forest which are either seasonally dry or are inherently dry. They are arid patches in the forest itself. It's not how we see it in Discovery and National Planet. There are many, many parts which don't have, of a forest, which don't have perennial water source. So the dependence earlier would be for these animals to migrate from, let's say, the area where there is no water, to, in search of water, go to another parts. So another part of the forest or another forest completely. For example, the elephants from Wayanad would come to Bandipur, or they would go to Kabini, and the reverse migration would take place in the monsoon. Now, when we cut off, these paths were actually migratory paths or the corridors. We are breaking these corridors repeatedly with human encroachments. So then how does the animal go from one side to the other? Obviously, when the animal then seeks water, it results in the conflict situation. So most of the times, if it was naturally also, they were not migrating. Now with scarcity of water, they are migrating. In my opinion, what has brought about this scarcity, in my limited awareness, is that we are overdrawing the water source. The aquifers are drying because we are overutilizing for so-called, agriculture. The food revolution in India has drastically, I think, altered the mindset of farmers. Again, with my travels across the country, I was in Assam this month and even earlier. I keep asking farmers there, so when you grow rice, do you put fertilizers? And their answer is yes, only for the commercial use. We keep a small patch of land where we grow rice for ourselves, where they don't use fertilizers. So they're fully aware of the consequence of the fertilizer or the pesticide, both. And they refrain from using both of them for their own consumption, personal consumption, but they don't mind doing it commercially. Now, when this again from my travels, I've realized in Kutch, earlier Little Run of Kutch, we used to go every year for bird watching, and I would find the pumps which draw out water from the ground. They actually use it for salt pans to make salt. I would find many of the water pumps now being diverted for irrigation. Likewise, the Narmada, now that it has come, a lot of it is used for irrigation. But what happens then to the, if you're going to draw out water, so much water, then what happens, for the animals? They don't get enough. The natural aquifers are all drying up, which is why, again, in my effort to mitigate human-animal conflict, that I provide the solar pump sets. What that does is the animal doesn't feel the need to go out. It'll get water where.
So the solar pump is actually drawing water from the groundwater, from the bore.
So borewells are done by the department. I ensure that we give solar pump sets to those areas where there is a where there is already an existing borewell. What I also do is we lay underground pipelines to multiple areas rather than just provide one water point to the anti-poaching camp. We provide multiple water points so that the microhabitat develops in different parts which were otherwise degraded because of lack of water. So just the sheer presence of water ensures the biodiversity of that area improves, the microflora and fauna improve. The smaller, lesser animals which couldn't travel all the way to one large water body to drink water, they also get water in closer to their habitat. See, there's a need. If I have done 73, I think there's a need for 7,300 or more. Because it's real. The animals are really struggling in summer, in the pinch period of May and June.
So, I mean, at Ecoparadigm, we have kind of really established quite big projects and successful projects in rainwater harvesting, for instance. So is something like that being done in the national parks, or are we still waiting for, the groundwater and you just depend on nature without any of these interventions? Would you know that?
No, they don't do any rainwater harvesting as far as I know, because rainwater harvesting means you will actually have to have a lot of cement structures and all, to collect the water. Here, the water also acts as a huge, the rainfall is needed because it's a huge source of water for all the animals and especially the trees, and the plants. They need. So the rainwater cannot be really channelized through the forest. See, a forest has maximum flora and less fauna. So
Okay.
the rainwater can be used, let's say rainwater harvesting, if at all, can be channelized for only drinking water for wildlife, not really facilitate the need for water for the plants and the trees.
So I think when we come to the end of the talk, one of our engineers may give a suggestion as to how we do it, because I don't think we use too many cement structures. So
Okay.
Priya or Subin, if you're ready with can be ready with an answer at the end of this talk. Yeah. So
Hear it.
yeah. So yeah, exactly. We will go to generally discuss about what they do on site. They are all engineers here. So one of the last questions is, other than the big national parks, there are other urban forests such as RA Forest, where Earth Brigade has your foundation has been involved.
Yes.
And these forests are so close to the urbanized metro. I mean, I think one of the most urbanized metro of India. And I know that it's also called as the lungs of urban India.
Yeah.
Just what is happening, what is going to happen if, if they go ahead with the cutting and all that that is planned? Or is it a delicate subject to broach? I leave it to you.
No, I'm quite open to speaking about it. It is, see, our present, I wouldn't say generation, our present population is very myopic. We only want instant results without actually looking at the actual ecological price we are willing to pay. If I want to travel from Karjat to Bombay, I want to reach fastest without realizing what that entails. What is the actual price I'm paying? Will I be rushing to Bombay to buy oxygen cylinders? Where are we going to get oxygen from if we keep chopping all these trees, in the name of development and progress? And that's not just in the RA or in Sanjay Gandhi National Park. So many of our forests are being diverted as they are getting denotified and being used for human needs, whether it is mining or whether it is highways or creating resorts, whatever it is, or metros for that matter. We need to understand that there are no free lunches in this world. There is a price. So are we willing to pay the price, or do we expect that we don't care? We need whatever we need right now. The future generation can bother whatever is needed, because there's nothing going to be left. See, unfortunately, it's not that nature won't take back. I feel she will take back what rightfully belongs to her eventually. I think the Syria Turkey earthquake is one such tragic example of it. But are we willing to wait for nature to do that, or would we like to take some corrective steps? Each one, again, I would say it is each one of us who needs to ask. I think each of us needs to introspect a bit and ask, are we willing to pay such ecological price, high prices for our decisions made today? Would we like to keep chopping trees, unmindful of what damage we are doing to the, not just the living beings around it, but to ourselves as well? In RA itself, the leopards of RA, which are so famous, they actually survive on eating the dogs, stray dogs. And the stray dogs survive on eating the garbage which is generated there. So we have to start doing something about, our mindset about garbage disposal itself. We need to put pressure on our authorities to get them to, start waste management, on a priority basis.
Yeah, okay. So there are a lot of comments on the chat box, which I will kind of address in a bit.
Sure.
But I just wanted to have a final thing about ask you, being an activist is not the easiest thing. So in our society these days, when there are so many vested interests involved. So what drives you despite these challenges?
one, I am not here to win any popularity contest. So once that is decided, I do what my conscience tells me. I cannot pander to the popular beliefs or anything. If there's something wrong, it is wrong. Whether Sarita Subramaniam subscribes to it or not, doesn't change. What is right is right. So of course it means that I'm hated. I'm also I get threat calls, threat messages. We even had a break-in in our Karjat house. The police still don't know what is the reason why they broke into a house, because they never stole anything. Whether it was just to intimidate us, some 10 odd people, armed burglars, masked burglars, came into the house. So there are such things which go on, but I think I'm just too stubborn to give up. I really need to learn probably at times to pick my battles, because you're fighting a system which is designed to ensure that you fail, So, but it takes a lot of perseverance, and I'm lucky, genuinely lucky to find my husband, Subbu, and my mom very supportive of what I do. Without their support, of course, all my other friends and family, my sister Sushma, without their support, I don't think I could have stuck to my conviction. At some point they would have dragged me back, but they fully support me, and that's what gets me going.
So wonderful. And I think it was a really insightful conversation, Sarita. We really got to know. I mean, I have read your posts and all that, but it's nothing like actually having a one-to-one kind of a chat. And it's been just amazing. And I would just want to wish you all the best.
Thank you
And
so much.
if ever we as a company can help wildlife, do reach out to us. So that's all I can say. And I'll just look at the chat boxes. Everybody can come on the video, and perhaps you can ask her yourself. In case you're not able to do it, then I will address it. Yeah, exactly. So another thing is, about the rainwater harvest. We have done something, the recharge pits in Lalbagh. Subin, Priya, which one of you want to handle that and share that with Sarita? Please come on the camera.
Be brave. I'm an activist for wildlife, but I don't really prey on. Don't worry. Come on. No, I like the recharge pit idea, because we've done something like that in our farm. I really would love to do the recharge pits for almost all the solar pump sites where the borewells are. I definitely am keen on that aspect. So there, if you have expertise there, I would definitely like to learn.
Oops, did I leave? Did I leave the meeting? No, ma'am.
No, yeah.
Okay.
Ma'am, actually, like you were telling that during that wildlife conservation, due to concrete structures, you are not interested in rainwater harvesting because it has to reach the fauna also, apart from wildlife. So what is the major thing we are doing in rainwater harvesting is that we are just storing the runoff, that is excess water which is generated, that we will use to retain it for some more time so that it can be percolated into the ground. So that's what that's what we are doing. That I think that would be helpful for any forest area also, because now due to deforestation and those things, I think there will be like a lot of soil erosion, and that infiltration capacity has been greatly reduced. But if we are providing some rainwater harvesting pits, then the runoff water will be reduced. That unless it is going and reaching the ocean, it can be stored in that. It can be helped to recharge in that particular location. So for borewell also, if you're putting means as drought comes on, then it will be difficult to pump it out also, because if there is no water in the underground, then it would be difficult. In such cases, I think it would be better option to go for rainwater harvesting to improve that thing.
Yes. Yeah, so I'll definitely consider this. See, some parts, I think the rainwater harvesting might, if it's an open area where you're just collecting the water, it will actually depend on the type of soil. Because like in our farm here in Karjat, water just does not retain. So we have made a pond, which is like a drainage pond. It sort of drains into the groundwater itself. But the water just does not retain there. It doesn't just evaporate. I mean, it just doesn't retain. It goes, the soil is very porous. Depending on the type of soil, maybe we can consider the rainwater harvesting. I don't know in parts of Rajasthan where we can do it, because it will mean we need a well wooded area, no? Otherwise, evaporation is quite high. Rate of evaporation will be quite high in areas like Rajasthan. But let me consider this. I'll also speak with a few others and see whether we can do rainwater harvesting projects inside the forest. The recharge pits, though, I'm definitely keen. We can definitely consider them. So maybe, if you could send me an email saying what you do with rainwater harvesting, how you do it. Let's see if we can collaborate on this. I would definitely be interested. Thank you.
That is very good. So Padma Shastri, my colleague, also has written in the chat that there was an initiative to make manufacturers pay for the waste generated by consumers of their products. What happened to that initiative? I mean, I think I'd like to answer that question myself, because I think it's very difficult to kind of implement that policy. Instead, actually, whatever thing is being used on ground, if we segregate, we put a system and a law, for littering. I think that has to be done first. Because see, manufacturing and all that will go on. Now, how do you control in so many locations as to which manufacturer has, put which Tetra Pak or which multi-laminated packaging? So there has to be, I think, some kind of policies in national parks saying that what are you going to do with the wet waste, dry waste, and some kind of a decentralized kind of a process that will have to be established if it has not been already. So because I have not done research on that, this is what I feel, because I don't think manufacturers can be held accountable. Maybe as a percentage you can take some money from them for solid waste, but on ground each national park will have to find their own answers, is what I feel.
I don't think it is such a huge problem in the core areas. Okay, because let's say the human settlements are very less. We need to understand, when we talk about tourism in wildlife areas, it is most popular in 10 to 12 national parks. Okay, or in the country. We have 52 tiger reserves in the country, and only, I suppose, 10 will be the really popular ones. And maximum tourists go to these areas. So, and that too, it's only 20% of the entire forest. Let's say in Corbett, it's only 20% of Corbett which is accessible to tourists. So whatever waste management is there, it's easier for the department to do in the 20%. What is difficult is the communities around the forest which are generating, especially the plastic waste. And with the, the culture, there's such a shift in the culture. There's so much wannabeism. It's like, I don't want to deny them that, but they are getting it without understanding the sensibilities of the damage it is doing to their fragile ecosystem. See, they are already in a very delicate system. Over and above that, the waste is adding to it. And like somebody rightly pointed out, there's so much deforestation in and around the forest itself. There's very little water being held, because of the deforestation. Yes, there's soil erosion because of that.
Okay, so Preeti Rao is here also on this call. She was one of our speakers earlier, and she is the member of the Bioenzyme Association of India. It's a wonderful association, and she says that it was wonderful listening to you, Dr. Sarita. Preeti.
Thank you, Preeti. Thank you a lot.
Another good friend and my neighbor and the founder of Whitefield Rising in Bangalore, Nitya Ramakrishnan, poses a question and says that, Sarita, you're a deep well of knowledge and experience in the space. If you were to summarize what you want us, the lay residents, to do to help based on all what you have seen, do share. I mean, what is the way in which you wish to see behavior change in us? So could you want to summarize some few things, or some behavior change in what every layperson can do is what you
if it's vis-a-vis what a layperson needs to do in a forest, it's very simple. First, we need to understand how would we behave when we go to somebody's house as a guest. Just remember, when you're in the forest, you're actually a guest. So while you will not litter in that person's house, while you will behave in a very decorous manner, that is what we need to do in a forest. Outside of the forest, I think what we have to do inherently is minimize our waste. I don't know if we can all do zero waste. I think it's a little bit extreme and need a different mindset to do that. But in our own way, can we at least start segregating our waste? Can we at least do dry waste, wet waste? What you can do with the wet waste is actually either you compost it, use it yourself, or give it to the local, your society, your building, or whatever, or the neighborhood park. Give them the compost. So by just that much, what you do with your wet waste, you have already minimized the load on the authorities, right? You are already taking care of that waste. Maybe the dry waste, again, you can segregate into, glass and things like that, which can be, harmful. Things like that at our own level, we can do so much more. And we, in our farm, and even earlier, we were doing dry and waste segregation. But it doesn't happen unless the society enforces it with others.
So in particular with national parks, I would say is, please don't leave behind any of the multi-laminated and all that. In fact, take it as far as possible from that place, because it may actually come back, through wind and all that, if you dispose it in anywhere else also.
So also, many national parks, Sangeeta, I have to tell you this, in many national parks, they do not allow packaged food or food items inside. So that is one way how they regulate, but people sneak in. That's different. But as a rule, but they don't really check for gutka packets or masala. That is one of the things.
Self-regulation is very, very important.
Yeah. And unfortunately, I don't like to be told by others. So it's not like if I told my fellow, if there was another safari person and that person littered, or if I said, they don't take kindly to it. So if we see something like that happening, we have to go and report to the authorities that this is what they did. So please ensure some way that it is regulated.
Because I would want you to share what you're doing in Jamshedpur in a nutshell in 2-3 minutes before we end this tete-a-tete.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, hi.
Hi, everyone. It was really great to hear from you.
Thank you.
It was really, I'm also very into biodiversity and national parks and into treks and everything. So your every summarized way of your knowledge was a great input.
Okay, I'm glad I could help. Yes. Yeah, please let me know what you do.
Yeah, basically we were trying to incorporate the technology into making people know how our campus would give out a knowledge base, a repository of whatever is there in the campus. It is a 25-acre site, and now we have trying to increase the knowledge base, as in whoever is the visitor, the students who are coming here, and they would know which type of species or which type of a tree is it. So we are trying to provide QR codes for particular trees. We have identified all the trees, are like 1420 in number.
Nice.
So these are QR codes that he is putting on all the trees, right, Subin?
Yes, ma'am. And there's a profile, there's a template over which we have made it so that people can go through it and know what type of a tree it is, and what is it, a fruiting tree? What would be the canopy? What
Nice.
is its use? Where all you find it in India, and how many number are there in the campus? So these are just
Wow, I'm really impressed. I'm just thinking whether we can, I can ask some of the field directors if they would like to at least have, many of them do have arboreums, maybe there, or let's see some forests also where along the road, if we can do this, it will just
exactly.
increase. I think it's interesting.
It would just, you'd be scanning that QR code and you would be knowing how.
Yeah.
People
Yeah.
get inquisitive. What is the? If it is like a
What?
flowering tree.
Yeah.
What is the type of the tree? Where do you find it?
Yeah.
How can I get used to it? The local
Uh,
name, the scientific name.
mm,
That would be the database and the template of the QR code. And
yeah.
for the site, we are actually managing the rainwater as well. So there is
That's
the potential of the site is like 650 KL for a year. So
okay.
that we are trying to divert into a natural looking pond that we are actually going to create in the lowest lying area, and
Mm,
then recharge the groundwater level that we had
mm,
measured last year. So we would
okay.
again do it after creating
Uh,
the recharge pits, and then
uh,
see the difference.
okay. Okay. So how do
So
you create these? It is just created at the lowest point or the midpoint so that you can then
no,
collect the water onto the lowest water body.
so ma'am, there is like loose boulder check dams we can make in a bigger area. But
Uh,
now, as we know the contour and the slope of this plot,
mm,
so without using any mechanical devices, just diverting it through gravity, through the
uh,
gutters, through the nalas, and then moving it out, and then diverting it out and feeding the natural pond. So that is what we are doing, and between that we are diverting it towards the recharge pit, which is handling the rooftop discharges as well.
okay.
So
Okay.
both the things we are doing it. We have planned it as per the rainwater harvesting plan, and
Okay.
that is what is our approach for the rainwater harvesting.
Okay. See here, what we have realized, there are 2-3 points. I mean, I know 2-3 sites where it's difficult to do bore well, because in
Mhm.
the area it's not easy always to get water. So we have one water, let's say if there is a borewell, we are using that to supply water sometimes as far as 2 kilometers down the slope. So something like this maybe we can consider. So
Yes, we
please
can make
do,
gravity ponds. Yeah,
yeah, through multiple gravity ponds, I would
multiple
say.
gravity ponds. Yes.
Yeah, correct. So I think we can consider this. If you don't mind, will you please email this, Subin? I'll share my email ID. If you
Okay,
can
ma'am.
share, let me know the details. I'll see if we can work this out.
I have an
So,
abstract made. I'll share that abstract with you. It would be easier for you to go through it and
okay,
then know whatever we are trying to
okay,
do here.
sure. You'll mail that.
Yes, ma'am. I'll mail
Okay,
it to Padma.
okay. Yeah.
Sangeeta.
Then,
Sangeeta, ma'am. She might share it with
okay,
you.
okay, fine. Okay, yeah. Thanks so much. All the
Thank
Yes.
you,
best to you.
ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
So, I
And
mean, this
great work, ma'am.
where he is working is with the Manipal group, and it's a hospital. So I would say, there are some clients who are so, they think far ahead and, employ these techniques, they're thinking of 10 years hence, 20 years hence. And that's what we need to do. And a lot of credit to them, these clients who actually are using this technology, which
Yeah.
we are happy to share and kind of, we can implement it anywhere. So I think we kind of done. Any other questions? I think that should be it. Because I think there is one last question by Padma, which is the eternal battle between development and environment. How do you see the battle going on in case of road building near our borders for defense purposes? And how does society decide what trumps what? And if you can quickly, if you can give your view on that,
Yeah.
Sarita, then we
Yeah.
will end.
Having been to Valong, which is at the easternmost part of India, where the China border or the McMahon line, as we know, through that journey in Arunachal Pradesh, all I saw was the Border Roads organization doing a fabulous job. And, they really struggle because the terrain is difficult. And at the same time, what they have built now doesn't mean will last. And it has nothing to do with the quality of construction. It's just the type of terrain that they build the roads. Really difficult. And hats off to them. Now, where we need to actually do is probably make such roads which at least keep us safe. So if you talk about development and progress, I feel this is where we need to focus on, or our border area, whatever gives us more protection to keep ourselves safe from external forces, aggression. The rest of the area is a choice. Rest of the area, we need to see what is the price we are going to pay. Like here also we are deciding the price, right? The price is that I want this development in the border areas because I don't want to lose my land or my safety to the aggressor. So that's the price we are willing to pay. But the rest, let's take a moment to pause and see, is this what we want? Do I need to reach from Bombay to Bangalore in 12 hours, 10 hours, 8 hours, 5 hours? Or is it okay if I take 24 hours, but I'll be able to breathe well in that journey? 10 years down the line, 15 years down the line, I'll be traveling not like this. I may need an oxygen cylinder to travel. That could be a reality we are facing. If we don't want that, act now.
Yeah. Okay, I think that kind of, it was a very strong, summarization,
Yeah, I
because
know how to sugarcoat it.
without oxygen, where are we? I mean, we're just taking that for granted.
Yeah.
And so Padma says, awesome point of view. Thank you. And thanks, Sarita. This has been very, very, very interesting conversation, and your views, points. I think we've learned a lot on what is happening in the wildlife and how we can help in our own ways. And I hope we all adopt sustainable tourism, sustainable lives at home, because everything is interconnected. We are all connected in all this. Yeah. So thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you so much, Sangeeta, and to Ecoparadigm and all your viewers who have also participated in our conversation here. Wish us all the very best.
Yes. So happy Wildlife Day again. Let every day be a Wildlife Day.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.